might be just the official beginning of summer, but it's a day where we honor those who have given their lives to this country. And even though you probably haven't thought about it, railroads played a large part in military operations for a long time, and they still do today. And we're going to explore some of that during this episode. The first thing we're going to show you is something I think is really cool. I found this a couple of years ago on Internet Archive. It's a 1943 production of a documentary put together by the War Board. It's called Troop Train. It follows a division being shipped by rail as they go overseas. They didn't say, of course, whether they were going to Europe or the Pacific Theater, but it really doesn't matter because it's the same operation pretty much regardless. It's a really interesting look at World War II railroading because you don't see a whole lot of that. Remember, World War II was the era of loose lip sink ships. You didn't go out taking pictures of things you weren't supposed to, and you most certainly didn't film anything. So to see World War II era railroading and to see part of the war being brought into your screen as part of this documentary is really cool. So let's get going. Here's an episode. Here's 1943's Troop Train.
Fort Morris, California. Lieutenant, the westbound movement will be made by Chicago, Denver, and Salt Lake City.
Transportation officer at Miami, Florida says 47 flat cars are spotted now.
You've got the green light. Report when you clear Cleveland.
Hello, operator. I have a call in for Seattle. This is a hot move. Give it a high priority.
I just talked to San Antonio, Texas, and train number 21778 left the camp at 11:05 a.m.
Colonel Fitz, will you please carry these orders into effect?
Yes, sir. This is Colonel Fitz, Army Ground Forces. The commanding general has decided to move the 201st Armored Division by rail. Alert traffic control and everyone concerned.
Let me have your attention, men. There's going to be 3 men in each section. Sleeping tonight. 2 in the lower berth and 1 in the upper berth.
What's an upper?
You'll find out tonight, boy. We're pulling out now, men, so at ease.
Attention, men. We're stopping at the next station. Be ready to get off.
Attention, men. Anyone I catch smoking in the berths will get KP for the whole trip. Is that clear?
Porter, can you tell me where this train is going?
No, sir, soldier. That's one thing I'm not allowed to tell.
I think we're heading to San Francisco because now we are in Tennessee. No, Tennessee's not there, it's down here.
I mentioned that railroads still support military operations to this day. In fact, even here along the New River, you can still see military trains. I haven't caught it yet, but for years, Fort Eustis out in Newport News, Virginia would get tanks and everything else under the sun shipped by rail. It was a December tradition almost, you know. Like I said, I haven't caught it, but I have caught several ammunition runs, usually going from the port of Wilmington, North Carolina. And I don't know where this particular train is going, but I know the pattern that they go to Wilmington. This actually was filmed this year. It was filmed in May 2025 underneath the New River Gorge Bridge. This is a military train. It's not that long, but it's cool because all this stuff is ammunition, and it's really interesting to see it running through a national park. So let's go see this military train in 2025. CSX has been painting a lot of special units over the years. Of course, we have the 21 Heritage units, and we have 3 that we call the Pride in Service locomotives. Those are 911, honoring firefighters and first responders. Loading 194 honors our law enforcement, and Engine 1776 honors our armed forces. And this was filmed on the R.J. Corman West Virginia line, coming out of Pax from Mount Hope, eventually to Thurman, and then Newport News, back in March of 2022. Here's CSX 1776, painted in a special military scheme. I've got one more shot for you. Well, actually, technically two, but it's basically the same train, so I'm going to call it one shot. This is Amtrak 51. There's nothing really military about it, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what it stands for. On the rear of this car, on the rear of this train rather, was a car that was originally built for the Union Pacific. It is now owned by the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western Railroad, but for many years it served on UP's City of trains. And in the context of this video, I didn't really think about it at the time, but in the context of this, it made me think of a soldier coming back from war, riding on a UP train, going back home. And I have no doubt this car carried soldiers coming back from war at some point over its career on the Union Pacific. I have no doubt about that. And so as we watch this train going underneath the Newburgh Gorge Bridge, I am thinking of the people who got off the boat at Newport News or Norfolk and were going back on the C&O. And in keeping with Memorial Day, unfortunately, they didn't always come back alive. I actually learned this a while ago, but Chesapeake and Ohio would indeed haul dead bodies. But they had to have a coach class ticket, and they would often put the casket in the baggage or mail car, whatever the train was equipped with. So as we watch this train, this Amtrak train, think about the numerous people who have ridden these trains, the people who have been gone for so long fighting a war, and the delight that they must feel going back home, and the delight their families must feel as they come back home, knowing they get to hug them again, and at the same time the sorrow that these families feel, knowing that they are going to retrieve their loved ones from the train station and then have to put them in the ground. So with that, let's watch as Amtrak 51 goes under the Newburgh Gorge Bridge, and afterwards we'll come back and wrap it up.
251 Amtrak, 348 westbound, got a clear signal at the East End Fayette 1.
So much for watching. If you enjoyed the program and would like to watch past episodes, I invite you to like our Facebook page. You can subscribe to us on YouTube